Okay, so hello and welcome back to another Python sorting tutorial. In this one we're going to be covering the selection sort algorithm, and this is another quite simplistic sort algorithm. It isn't, one of the best. Isn't good with large data sets, but is very efficient with small data sets. And obviously with the whole efficiency thing, I will make a separate video after the sorting algorithms on big O notation, which you'll see all over the place here. O this, O that. O n squared here, O log n here. It's all to do with n being the amount of data you take in, and if you drew the graph of that, then you would see the more data you add, the less efficient it gets, and certain ones are better at handling large data sets than others, and certain ones are better with low amounts of data. But anyway, the selection sort, as you see by this diagram, it's not very obvious what's actually happening here, but what it does is it has all the spread out data, and it scans through it all, and it finds, in this case, the lowest value, and it places that at the bottom, and then it finds the second. It scans through the whole list again, finds the second lowest, places that at the second one, scans through the whole list, finds the third lowest, puts that one, scans through the list, finds the fourth lowest, put that there, and so on. And then so slowly, as you go through the scanning, there's less and less to scan through, and it goes faster towards the end, though it doesn't represent on here really. And obviously I'll link the Wikipedia page so you can go up and read about it as always if you want to. And then here on this other website I found a very good representation of it. So it's like, here you've got a list, and it scans through it and says, well, 93 is the largest, let's put that at the end. Then it scans through the list, not including the n1, says 77 is the biggest, put that the second to the end. Scans through the list including the two that have already been done, 55, 54, 44, 31, 26, 20, 17's the end one, and now it's ordered. So that's basically how it works, and I will be showing you how to do it in the Python. So what do we want? We want, as always, a list of numbers, so feel free to make this as convoluted as you want. I recorded this video once already, and I had to redo it because I got to one point in the algorithm and I basically just messed up what I was doing. Like, it was just one line that I did wrong, but like one thing I had indented wrong, and it just kept throwing error messages, and I kind of thought, it's best to just figure out what the problem is and start again. I could have just cut it out, but I thought, no, I'd start again. I looked a bit silly. I'll remember not to do the indentation problem this time. I mean, when you're recording a video, if you make an error, you kind of start panicking a bit more than normal. Normally, I just, try and figure it out and not worry. But anyway, so we've got our list of numbers that I just wrote. And now we need to make a list of, well, not a list, sorry, I've already made a list. We need to write a function to do the sorting. So def selection sort. We'll take in the array numbers, and for now we'll just pass, and then we will run the selection sort by passing in numbers, and we'll print numbers at the end, and we'll just test everything is running smoothly. Yeah, here's our list. It's not sorted yet. So the goal for this algorithm for you to write on your own. Now, oh wait, well that's one thing I'm going to mention. So in the thing I showed you on Wikipedia, they are sorting it by finding the lowest and putting it at the bottom, then the next lowest, putting it next to the bottom. I'm going to actually go through how to do it reversed, which takes the same amount of time and does the same thing. It's the same algorithm, but instead of finding the lowest and putting it to the bottom, it finds the highest and puts it to the top. So as you imagine, yeah, it does work the same. The reason I'm doing this is just to show you how you can write lists, loops that go backwards. They decrement rather than increment. So if you want to have a go at writing it one way or the other, it doesn't matter. Obviously, I'm going to be doing it the decrement way from highest to lowest, though yours will also work if you do it the other way around. If you're following along, you might want to try the way I'm doing it so you can compare it to mine, or maybe you want to do it the other way and see if you can do that too. So the kind of things you want to do, in my case, obviously if you're doing it the other way, then you want to do what I'm saying reversed, basically. You want to loop backwards from the top to the bottom, and you want to find every single time you scan through the list what the highest value is, but every time you're scanning you want to not include all the sorted values. So the first time you include them all, the next time you don't include the last one, then the next time you don't include the end 2, then the end 3, then the end 4. So you want to have something that you want a variable that's decrementing to be able to know which values you want to check. So you want to check from the length downwards, then the length -1 downwards, and length -2. So you want to figure that out, how to do that. Then you also need some way of storing the position of the highest number on a scan, and then at the end you want to do a swap where you take the highest number and swap it with the value at the end. So in here on your first loop, what it'll do is it'll say, we'll scan through this list, and the highest value is 341. So it's going to store this as a temporary variable, and it's going to swap this with this. So it'll be like 341, 341. And then we can set the temporary variable to this, which is 23. And then we do it again, but we just don't include the 23. Well, we technically do include 23 because that'll have swapped with this. So we'll have 341 at the end, which we don't include. And we include from here downwards. And then we do it again, we include here downwards, and here downwards, and here downwards, and so on. So let's get into it. So obviously if you want to have a go, then pause and have a go. But otherwise, I'm going to get into it. So we need a for loop. So for I in range, because that's a good way to start. And normally you would do 0, len numbers. This should be familiar to you. -1. But we're doing it backwards. So instead of putting 0 and then len of numbers -1, we'll do len of numbers -1, 0. So we're saying currently it's reading it as the minimum value is the length of the list -1, and the maximum value is 0. Even though we've put it the other way around, that doesn't automatically just go down the list. We still need to tell it that we want it to go down. Otherwise, it's going to treat it as the minimum is higher than the maximum, and it's going to throw errors probably. Like if I just did this now and I, printed I or something, see what happens. Well, actually, no, it's just not going to do anything, is it? It didn't even print I. So there's, wait. Yeah, it's not even printing I. So what we want to do is, okay, so yeah, it's not going to throw an error message. What it's doing is it's basically starting at the end of the list and going upwards to 0. It just isn't going to do anything. It's not going to work. Though if we put -1 and we print, whoa, we're indented a bit there, and we print I, then you'll see we go down 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 1. So as we go down, I is going down, which is good. It's still going to loop the normal amount of times, but the variable is going down. Now we need a way of storing the position of the max number, which is max index. We'll set it equal to 0 because that just means the bottom one. So if we go through the list and we don't find it, it is the bottom one anyway, so 0. It's always nice to set things to 0 when you loop again so that it's set to the default. So when we start a new loop, the max index isn't the old one. But anyway, it's just nice to have. And then we want to say for j, because we're having a loop inside of a loop, and we can't reuse I. We can if we had a loop on the same level, because it would be over with. But inside this for loop, I is equal to this. Whereas if we then did like down here, for I, this I and this I are completely different because they're outside of the loop. They're local variables, they're not global variables. So for j, because we need another letter, obviously if you then went for k, for this, for that, for whatever, usually the general thing that people do is go I, j, k, and then after k, you don't really, it's not very often you have more than triple nested loops, but if you ever did, then I guess you would just call them whatever you want, I, j, k, l, something. But generally you get I and j, you don't often see more than that. But anyway, for j in range 1, I plus 1. Now, I'll explain this. So, j, so what I is doing is, I is just saying, this is how many times we need to loop to make sure we've sorted it. Because every loop, an algorithm needs a, worst case scenario. Because, you might loop for it once and it might be completely sorted if, there's only one character out of position. But just assuming that, it's completely jumbled and everything's out of position, then you need a worst case. So you need to be able to loop every time. And then inside this loop, all this for loop is doing is handling how many times we need to do the actual check. The thing in this for loop is doing the check. It's saying well, we're doing a loop from the bottom until the top plus 1. And it's not actually the top plus 1, remember? I is actually decrementing as we go down. So slowly this maximum here will not just be checking the top value, it'll be checking here, then only up to here, then only up to here, only up to here. So as we keep looping, this for loop is what's controlling how far up the list we check. Because obviously all the ones, for example, when we're checking these, all the ones above it will already be sorted, so you don't want to check those. Because all it'll do is reset themselves as the same value, and it just won't do anything. So inside here we need to say, well, if numbers j, and numbers j being, well, the character we're currently scanning, so if we're scanning the whole list, numbers j will, through this loop, be every character one at a time. But if we're checking here, it'll only be these ones. Like numbers j is just the characters we're scanning. So if the number that we're currently scanning is greater than the max index character, so numbers max index, then we want to set the max index equal to that. Well, we don't set it equal to the value, we want to set it equal to the index, which is j, not numbers j, it's just j. So as we go through the list, we end up at the end finding out the position of the highest character. And we find out on the first run that position, so max index equals j. Max index is, 341. It's not actually 341, it's the position of 341, which I think is 12. I'm not going to bother counting. And then after that, once we found out like what the maximum number position is, we then need to swap that with the number that's currently at the end. So I want to say, we need to make a temporary variable for this. So we'll say temp equals numbers I. So obviously numbers I being the current end of the list. So on the first run, numbers I will be 23, then 341, then 252, and it's going to go down. Remember, I is decrementing as we go through. And then numbers I is equal to numbers max index, and then we'll set a numbers max index to temp. And what this is, I've done this in a different video as well. This is just a quick little swap. It's basically saying, well, we've got these two characters in the list. We'll store one temporarily. We'll set one to the other, and then set the other one to the temp. Now, this will work, but I'll show you the Pythonic way to do it. Pythonic being like a way where you can do something specifically in Python, or like a Pythonic way of doing things. It's hard to it explains itself, to be honest, what it means. Now, as you see, it's sorted. So good, we've done. That's all you want, really. Show that it sorts the list. That's completely jumbled. I'll zoom in a bit more. The way we can also rewrite this works in any programming language because every programming language has lists. But if it doesn't, or if it's Python, you can actually write it a bit easier. You can say like numbers I, comma, numbers max index, whoops, is equal to numbers max index, comma, numbers I. Whoops. Oh, it's not actually got an error, it was just compiling. Yeah, there you go, look, it still works. Because what it's saying is, well, we're going to take these two positions and set them to themselves, but like reversed, basically. So that's just a one-line way of swapping things, so it's a lot simpler. We've got the algorithm technically into, if you just compact everything, the code inside the algorithm is from lines 4 to 9, which is 5 lines long. Well, actually, it's 6 if you include, yeah, it's 6 lines. But and then 7 if you count the declaration of the function. But yeah, whatever. Now, obviously, it's always nice to spread things out. That's how I would spread it out anyway. But because this is actually a nested for loop, I could put that there. But anyway, so a quick rundown of how it works is, as we said, we go down through the list and find the highest values. You might have done it going up through the list and finding the lowest. It doesn't matter. Do it your own way. I'm not here to tell you which way to do it. I don't know if you can ever really have a reason why you would prefer one or the other. In my opinion, the other way of doing it is simpler without having looping backwards and everything. It just kind of confuses yourself. Though I wanted to show you, how to loop backwards through a list and then just this way of doing it, because it's a nice way of showing you can do it both ways. Obviously, every time we loop through the list, we find the position of the new highest number, and then we set that to the end, and then the end -1, the end -2, and -3, and so on, and then we get given a sorted list. So sorting algorithms are really nice. Obviously, there's a few more to cover, like the quicksort and whatever else there is off the top of my head. I can't think of what I've done and what I haven't done, but there are a few more that are well-known ones that you can easily remake in Python or whatever language you want. Like, you could take this and go into I don't know, C#, C++. You could remake these sorting algorithms in there, and maybe there'll be even more like efficient ways of writing them in those languages. Maybe the way I've written it isn't the most efficient. I mean, making it in like 6 lines is good enough, unless you're trying to be down to the like most precise way of doing it. But for the sake of tutorial, to teach you what a certain algorithm does, because generally if you're here, you probably want to know how do you implement it, or what does it do. Like, maybe you've been given it on a school task or something, learn about selection sort, that might have brought you here, whatever. But anyway, I think I've covered everything. So, as usual, I just want to say, Obviously, if you want to see more Python tutorials, whether it is algorithms or anything else Python related, just like the video and comment what you want to see more of. I'm going to keep doing these for like 2 or 3 more videos until I finish. Then I'll go back to doing normal Python tasks, which I like doing. And obviously I'm going to keep up with Unity. I want more ideas of what people want to see in Unity other than just shader videos, but I'm going to keep making shader videos, of course. I'm going to also make some more C# application videos, because someone asked for those. I didn't know if anyone was actually watching them. I only had one video on it. It didn't get many views, but presumably that's because not many people even used that. But it is very handy if you want to make yourself an application, and you can also attach databases and stuff. And obviously, yeah, I might go back to doing web development when I got a bit more time. The amount of different video series that I could do, I need a lot of time. Like, most of the time I can do 1 or 2 videos a day, because obviously I'm still in school. I've got like 6 weeks left before holidays, and I'm going to be busy in the first few weeks of the holidays. The first 2 weeks I'm away. So, I'll try and keep doing daily videos, and then 2 if possible, whilst keeping up with school and life and things. But yeah, I appreciate everyone that's been subscribing and everything, because I've noticed the numbers going up quite a lot recently, and quite a lot of people are watching my videos, which is quite nice to know. And I'm getting quite a lot of really positive comments. I'm helping people, and people want to see my videos, which as a creator, that feels amazing. Obviously I plan on keep going. I plan on keep making videos and everything. So yeah, one last thing, if you want to join our Discord channel to talk about anything coding related, then feel free. The link's in every description. But yeah, thanks for watching, and goodbye.